Welcome to Current Situation, your weekly political pulse. I'm your host, Joshua Gale, alongside South Carolina State House Representative Jordan Pace. Every week, our goal is to help you navigate the complex world of politics through a biblically conservative perspective. Before we jump into today's conversation, we want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Smashing Plastic, a pickleball podcast.
Smashing Plastic Pickleball Podcast is going to be about the three most amazing things about pickleball. Number one, the community. Number two, the health benefits. And lastly, but most importantly, is fun. The podcast of Smashing Plastic Pickleball is going to emphasize on fun. Yes, fundamentals of playing pickleball will be a part of what we talk about, but most importantly, just the fun of pickleball. That is Smashing Plastic Pickleball, and we want to have you tune into our podcast today.
In this episode, we're joined by Greg Ford. He's a candidate for District 98, which that is Dorchester Road, Ashley Phosphate, Patriot to Bacon's Bridge, and back to Dorchester Road over here in the North Charleston, Somerville area. And Greg is running for District 98 against another one of South Carolina's do-nothing politicians, and we're going to get into that here momentarily. But from Greg's first breath, he has called South Carolina home. The majority of his education, as well as his military enlistment, was in South Carolina. Greg holds a solid foundation based on South Carolina values and traditions. It is his passion for South Carolina and District 98 that makes him committed to its preservation through proactive legislation, action, and policies. His ability to analyze, interpret, and report on issues important to District 98 qualifies him to lead the district into the future. He is a responsible and dependable person who would be a great asset with unrelenting focus on quality decision-making, integrity, confidence, and an unflappable commitment to the pursuit of excellence. Greg is a third-generation active duty retired Air Force veteran, decorated for his service during Iraq and Afghanistan combat operations, where he served multiple tours. Greg amassed an impeccable record of success as a top-level military advisor and held many leadership positions in all levels of the military and contracting sector. As a military professional, he has traveled the world and spent time in 92 different countries while making friends with people of every race, creed, color, and background. During Greg's downtime, he spends time with his wife of 26 years and their son and daughter. He enjoys time at his family's farm and caring for and training his horses. And when he's not working on the farm or studying, Greg seeks peace and tranquility outdoors, enjoying activities such as hunting, fishing within the great state of South Carolina. Greg, welcome to the Current Situation podcast.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am excited to see you running in this in District 98. So for folks that don't know, in South Carolina, District 98 is here in this, Somerville, Dorchester County area, which is where I reside. And I am not happy with my current legislator, my current state representative, who has missed over 3,000 votes in the state house. You and I are both business leaders and entrepreneurs and have held leadership positions in multiple companies. When folks do not show up to work, especially people that I had the privilege to lead, it's sayonara. I don't do anything that I don't expect the folks that I lead to do. But if you cannot show up to vote, and you've been caught on vacation and different places during special voting times, then you are not qualified to represent the people of District 98. There are many other reasons that we're going to dive into of why Chris Murphy is not qualified and has disqualified himself from leading District 98. These are all my opinions, and I'm going to present these and put these onto the table and let the listeners make the decision for themselves. But you've ran a grassroots campaign.
Yes, sir.
And it is difficult to run a grassroots campaign in South Carolina when some of your opponents are the incumbents. are receiving funding from corporations and lobbyists and things like that, because some of them have been purchased, and every dollar has an attachment to it, and we wouldn't be crazy to say it isn't. So grassroots campaign, you've got the people, the hardworking taxpayers are the ones that are funding your campaign. It's not major special interest groups. So Greg, tell me, what has motivated you to take this on? You've got a beautiful farm, life with horses, and a beautiful family, wife of 26 years. What has motivated you to take on the challenging role of being a state house representative?
Well, I can definitely tell you there's much easier things I can do in my retired life.
Right.
We had the pandemic not too long ago, and my daughter come in from school, and we had some incidents come in that she brought to the house with some indoctrination tactics. With it started out with the political side. I had a conversation of, Obama's our best president since sliced bread, and Trump is the worst thing. So they started getting into politics in the school. She was young at the time; she was 12.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
that off a little bit, but we sat down and we had a conversation about roles of each one, the good and the bad of each one. Had that conversation, so that kind of irritated me a little bit. Then we went into I'm a Citadel grad. She has her tentative Citadel appointment or acceptance, and she was pretty proud about that. And she come home with a Clemson sticker on her iPad one day. So now her teacher's trying to talk her into a different school, which I thought that was my process as a parent.
Right.
And then she came in, and the straw that broke the camel's back is she came in one day and she had a mask on from when she was on the school bus. And I told her, I was like, Taylor, you don't need to wear the mask at the house. We're here, we're okay. Plus, I already signed the paperwork saying you're not going to wear a mask, and I've already sent school. So that kind of irritated me a little bit. She held her hand up. That, Dad, don't worry about it. It doesn't bother me, and they tell me it's good for me. That was the deciding moment right then. I sat there and I said, there's no way I can fly around the world and build a democracy or a republic in Iraq and Afghanistan and help those people out and watch our stuff fall apart in the States. So I decided right then, I told my wife, I'm going to run for, something. I just didn't know what it was. And I joined the Republican group because that's where my ideology lies, aligns best with. And I went to the first Republican Party political event. I sat around and I was going to run for school board, county council, something. I didn't know what I was going to run for. And before I sat there, I heard more grumbling about Chris Murphy. So I started scrolling this South Carolina statehouse.gov, started looking at his record, and I said, that's my guy. And I stood up right then and said, I'm running for 98. That was 2022. I ran and we did okay. And then when it come to this cycle, I had a whole group of people stand up and say, we want you to run again, which was humbling to say the least. And I agreed to run, and here we are. We're running, and I'm gonna put it on this guy.
Awesome. That is great to hear when people engage in the political world and are motivated, because the family unit is the unit that God wants to use to transform the world. The family unit is the most important part of the society. Take the father out of the picture, take the family out of the picture, and you've got nothing but chaos. And so the family is under attack. Family values are under attack. And there's a lot of folks in the world that know it and want to attack the family unit, because if they can divide, then they can try to conquer. And it sounds like you're saying, not over my dead body. Right. So, looking at Chris's voting record, it does not align with a lot of the things that we care about as conservative Republicans. And not only is it missing votes, but it's a lot of there's a lot of lack of credibility that Chris has lost. There's a lot of things that are questionable about the character of Chris Murphy. There's currently some things that circle around. This is not a very large town as much as people think it is, and there was a time where Chris was having to seek rehab for a drinking problem, and that was taxpayer funded. And then there's a very gray line with one of his former clients that was the head of Iron Wolf Rehab, and how state funds were misappropriated, and there's just you have to be above reproach in government, and to be able to throw funds around that are it's easy to spend other people's money and to throw it at different places and to different groups. When we see a lot of that, and we want to expose a lot of that, so there's a lot of folks looking into that there. What a big thing was Chris abusing his power, sitting on the Judiciary Committee to elect family members as judges in the state of South Carolina. When a person is a lawyer like Chris that can argue against the family members and people that they have put into office, that is a broken system. That's a system where we have people that are out on parole and the people that are getting let off the hook and back onto the streets, for a certain dollar amount. It's a profiteering game, and that there shows you more about Chris's character. This is not a person we need representing us here in District 98. Now, you are a person that has sacrificed a lot for your family, and your family has sacrificed a lot with sharing you with our armed forces, and you've done a lot to make sure that people can keep the freedoms that have been fought so hard to have in this country. So, tell us about what you see when you're in the State House, how your values are going to allow you to act as a man of character, a man with integrity, and a man that is transparent about the way he's going to vote and how he's going to show up to work, things like that.
Yes, sir. So being a military family, I grew up, my dad was in the military from the day I was born. Either my grandfather or my dad was in the military, my uncles, all of them in the Air Force, with the exception of one uncle is Army. And the core values for the Air Force was instilled on me early in life, which is service for self, integrity, and excellence in all we do. That's the core values for the Air Force. And I take those very serious. Service for self, there's times where I literally worked myself so hard because I knew that there was something more that needed to be done. And I signed the dotted line saying, this is what I do. I'll go. And I would sacrifice, time with my family. It's put a strain on us heavily, but I agreed to do something else. And I take that very serious. Integrity, I'm black and white. I'm an open book. If you ask me a question, I'm going to give you my answer. But in the political world, what I'm learning is there's my view, and then there's representing the district's view. So, majority of that district, there's going to be topics that I need to listen to the constituents in that district, and it might not align with my views 100%, but I'm representing the district. I'm not representing Greg Ford. To go just a little bit further, during my Citadel career, our core values was duty, honor, and respect. So we also noticed duty is the first one. I take that very serious as well. When I get in there, it is my duty to make sure I protect, and I'm not doing this for my health.
Right.
Just protect what I might have right now. You and I, what we enjoy, for my kids and their kids. We're trying to preserve what's left and probably push to get back some of our lost rights and liberties in the process. I have no problems fighting that. like I said, there's many things that it's much easier in life that I could be doing. I told someone on a podcast the other day, I was like, I'm not going up there to worry about a second election, a third election, a fourth election. I'm going to go up there and do a job. If that gets me a second election, so be it. If it gets me a third election, so be it. If it's a one term, that's what God tells me. That's God's path. It's out of my hands. I'm going to do what He, placed on my heart to do, which is to go be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And that's where I'm going to go.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. So what are some things in Columbia that you think that you'd like to step into that aren't being handled very well right now?
So I'm one of my number one topics that I've heard about through constituents out doing door knocking, meet and greets, different things. Taxes. I have a real problem with the amount of taxes. When we're reading the newspaper, South Carolina is the highest tax in the Southeast, tax burden in the Southeast. I have a big issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I see our legislators, Chris Murphy or any of the other ones in our area, voting for gas taxes, voting for usage taxes, convenience taxes, stacking usage taxes, registration. They just raised our registration tax on our vehicles a little bit. Millage tax in the state of in the town of Somerville. They just raised it on your property. So when we start reading about that, and then we see we have an excess budget every year, I'm like, what in the world's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So my number one thing I want to handle when I get up there, I have a bold vision of eliminating our state income tax day one. A lot of the representatives have told me this can't be done. Well, I'm not an economist by any means, but I am working on a PhD or a doctorate degree. It's an EDD, with a lot of research and data analysis, and the numbers prove that we possibly can do it. We have
Absolutely.
The highest growth happening. We have business coming in. We have excess every. We have more money coming in through vehicle registration taxes. There's no reason why we have that. So
Right.
That's the number one topic I want to have.
Yeah. And other states are doing it.
Yes, sir. There's no reason. And I have the view of, you were asking me about biblical. Money is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
If we take that money away, we stop some of this corruption because the money's not there to be able to corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
It may have money outside, but we stop some of the programs that are being implemented or allowed to take place. If we take that money,
Right.
we need to get it.
Yeah. And the love of money, we've talked about that in previous podcasts. It is the appetite. It is, what is your God? If it's the love of money, it's mammon. It is not. It's what people covet. And there's a lot of politicians out there that have a price, and that when it's not their money and there's something to gain for somebody else, let's spend it, let's grab it, let's throw it out, let's make everybody happy. We cannot make everybody happy. Let's put the pinch on everybody and let them get creative with trying to make the dollar stretch. If you and I are made to make our dollar stretch as our taxes are raised every year, we need to put the government on that same stretch and make them figure out how to make their dollar stretch as well. So it's that love of money that thinks that we have an endless supply of money when we have an infinite amount of we have a finite amount of resources that we need to learn to work within. And you're right. There's ways to do this without always putting the bill on the taxpayer. And these are hardworking families. These are people that are just trying to get ahead. 4 years ago, it was that you needed a job making $60,000 a year to buy a house. Right now, it's about $106,000 a year, and that's usually two people working, trying to work really hard to even afford a mortgage. And the banks know it. They're trying to buy up homes to rent them to a younger generation who has no other option. So there's a lot of squeeze being put on the individual taxpayer. We need politicians, we need statesmen that are able to step up and say, not on my watch, and looking out for the taxpayers. So, Greg, using your time for this, you know, working with others in the state house, you've aligned your values. You know that you're going to stand up, but you have to work with others in Columbia. Um, you know, what's your view on that? Working with others, building relationships, and doing something, obviously for the greater good. How do you see yourself working with others in Columbia?
So I don't have any issue working with others. I've done it through my military career. I've worked with mentioned different countries in your church.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with NATO units with 12 other nations and people from all over the world. And 92 countries, I've worked with those folks there. So I have the ability to work in a team setting. But one
Mm-hmm.
thing I do is sell my soul to make a decision, flat out.
Right.
There's going to be times where it's going to be difficult to resist. And I understand that, even Jordan gets that, you get it through business, we all get, temptation somewhere. But I won't put a black eye or a mark on my integrity or my character over something up there inadvertently.
Right.
If I do it unknowingly, we will try to figure out how to fix that. It won't be going in there trying to do, some underhanded stuff. That's not me, and that's not why I'm there. So
Right.
you asked, working with different groups. This has come up in 2 different podcasts. I won't sign a loyalty pledge. Period. Won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
No option for me. I'm not going to go up there and say I'm going to fight for your rights, sign my rights away, my First Amendment rights. So if that puts me in, a specific group of individuals, i.e., the Freedom Caucus or the Liberty Caucus or the whatever caucus, so be it. I'm going to go up there. I represent District 98, not Republicans or represent the House. I'm not there to be their friends. That's not what I'm going for. I'm there to defend the rights and liberties of 98 and my kids and your kids.
Right. So let's talk about voting integrity. We know we have an issue with that here in the United States of America. We're not free of that here in South Carolina either. And there was something that came out the other day where somebody was visiting a state-funded clinic, and that clinic gave an illegal immigrant a form to register to vote in South Carolina. And that's been happening for a while. That's obviously a tactic of the left, is open the borders and allow folks to come in, and it's widespread and wide known that this is a tactic to win votes and to things like that. But folks like yourself have worked extremely hard and sacrificed so much, again, time away from your family, even your life, to build this wonderful democratic country where we can exercise the freedoms that we do have. And it is a shame that we have rules for some, but no rules for others, because when it benefits some, then we look past or we turn a blind eye to these things. Tell us about voting integrity and your thoughts on that.
So what you mentioned was the voter registration going to legal through DHHS, from what I understand, through the Medicaid program.
Mm-hmm.
So the individual asked, they were questioned if they were able to vote. They understood that they weren't allowed to. So they gave the paperwork back. And from what I understand through a couple different conversations I've had through the last couple days in meetings in Columbia with different groups, not representatives, so to speak, is they gave the papers back and then they received 3 more papers in the mail shortly after. So that's a big issue. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at this and I was talking to my wife about this earlier tonight before we got on. Uh, I can't go to Germany and vote in their election. I can't go to Venezuela, the most corrupt place on earth, in an election. I can't vote in their election because I'm not a citizen. So, one of our founding fathers, or our founding fathers through the Constitution, allowed citizens to select their leaders of this
Mm-hmm.
country. If we open it up to everybody, we're going to lose what we have. The U.S. is the last, beacon of light of freedom around the world. And my take on it is, if they're giving these paperwork out, there needs to be harsh penalties for these government or state employees in our state of South Carolina. We will not. Is the Republican group, one of our resolutions we just put forward, non-citizens will not vote in our elections from our group here.
Mm-hmm.
Just tonight, Adam Morgan put forth the amendment to the budget to remove state payers or taxpayers' money from funding these paperwork, getting it out, and remove the funding from the offices. And majority of our Republican caucus voted to table that amendment, so they're going to allow our tax dollars to go. That's against the South Carolina GOP, which is voter integrity, protect election
Right.
process, and then our Chris Murphy specifically, our Dorchester Republican Party resolution that we just sent up to our Republican representative in Columbia. So they just voted against our resolutions. So right there, they tell me they're not game for actual integrity.
No. No. And it's not racism. It's I know folks from all over the world, and some of my best friends are from Latin America, and I've got friends from South Africa, and I've got friends from all over the world, and they know what we have here is precious,
Sure.
but it's under attack. Having a lack of integrity is being willing to, for whatever reason, being willing to hand that over, what we have, and ruin a wonderful thing that we have here. And it's, again, it's the same rules should apply for everyone. Like you said, we're not allowed to go other places and vote in other elections, but we're allowing folks to come here because, and so, anyways, no, and our tax-paying dollars should not fund the printing of paper after paper after paper, and stamps and postage and everything else, to feed the beast. So, um, Greg, I don't really have any more questions for you. Is there anything else that you want the people of South Carolina to know about yourself, about this race, how they can get involved? I know it's votegregford.com. We've got some great volunteers out there already, and I know that we're always looking for more. We're looking for donations. This is a grassroots campaign. What else would you like to share with the voters?
No, you kind of hit on all of them. Any funding would help. Any donation, if want to change funding, campaigns are not cheap.
Right.
We're going to run probably about a $40,000 campaign. That's on the low side. So any funding, it doesn't matter if it's $50, $100, whatever. You can go right to my website, votegregford.com. Right in the middle of the page, there's a donate option. Follow us on Facebook. We have Greg Ford for SC right there, so you can follow us. I post anything. We have our debates with Chris. Anything that's coming up that we look at, I keep it there. That's the most hot place for anything off the press. If you want to volunteer, we can do anything such as putting signs up. That's a logistical nightmare in our district.
Mm-hmm.
Places to put them up, trying to get back down after the primary, or door knocking. Taking and trying to cover a couple hundred doors is a challenge. Try to do several thousand doors in a matter of
Right.
time. That's a big challenge. So anything there, we can use 1 day, 4 or 5 hours, 3 hours. That is a major help that people don't understand. And then our biggest thing, if we want change, I can't, it doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter about the signs. It doesn't matter about the media, none of that stuff. And it all goes to nothing if we don't, motivate our people to go to the primary. If we don't get the primary and I don't make it primary, we have Chris Murphy again for a year. It doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. And it doesn't matter how many people knock on the door. It doesn't matter how many times it goes to zero. We got to motivate our people to get out and vote.
And that's June 11th is the 2024 primary, and it's fast approaching. It's 33 days, 32 from tomorrow when this will be published. And folks, put June 11th in your phone for your Republican primary here in South Carolina, and reach out to us if we have not discussed, or if you have questions about who you're supposed to vote for in your district, whether it be the state senate or state house or any other elections. Send us a message to the Current Situation Podcast. It's currentsituationpodcast.com, and you can find our contact information there, and we will lead you in the right direction. So, Greg, thank you so much for coming on The Current Situation. We appreciate your military service. We appreciate your family. We appreciate what you're doing to stand up for a greater good for the people of District 98. And we look forward to continuing this relationship, and look forward to having you on again in the future. So enjoy the rest of your week and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for tuning into Current Situation Podcast, and we will see you again next week.